couldn't control my hands, and I would just hit the ball off the table all the time. Everything I tried out for. Once it came to competition, I would tank. But for whatever reason, and I still don't understand it to this very day, when I went to champs in 1988, not only did I jump 5 feet, I jumped 5 feet 5 inches, and I was able to finish third at champs that first year. Um, the person who finished first turned out to be an overage athlete, so effectively, I finished second at champs that year. The following year, I won high jump at champs, and I broke or equaled the record. That was the year I also went to CARIFTA Games. So for champs of that year, I jumped 1.80 meters, which was 5 feet 11 inches, I think. But that was the year after Gilbert, and because of Gilbert, CARIFTA was pushed back to later on in the summer. So it was, instead of being in April as it usually is during Easter time, it was pushed back to August of that year. And so by then, school was out. I had to be training myself, and I improved my PB at champs from 1.80 meters or 5'11" to 1.91 meters, I think it was, which was 6 feet 4. Whatever 6 feet 4 was. That's how high I jumped at 14. So I was able to make the CARIFTA team. Then I went on the following year, got second at champs in the high jump, and then after that is like when puberty hit, everything just transformed. I mean, I was always a good jumper, but when I turned 16 and went to second year class 2, I jumped 2.05 in the high jump, which is 6 feet 9.25 inches at 16. I jumped 7.29 meters, which I think was 23 7 inches or something like that in the long jump. And I did 110 hurdles, and I ran, the record at the time was 14.24 meters, but I broke that record in a 4.7 headwind.
Oh, I didn't even know they have a wind reading back then.
They did. 4.7 meters per second headwind. And it's unfortunate too, because I'm pretty sure I would have gone under 14 seconds and shattered the record. I've been even more impressive, but it is what it is.
All right.
So that's how it all started.
All right. Well, we couldn't ask for a better introduction than what you gave us, because your memory is actually better than mine. When it comes down to the class 2 days and the class 3 days, and the whole thing. But if we're going to start talking about Wolmer's Boys School, we got to find out why Wolmer's. How did you end up at Wolmer's Boys?
It's an interesting question. It's a very interesting question. I don't know if you've ever heard me talk about it. Why you asked that question?
No. We always try to figure out. Some people, was influenced by. I mean, just got selected, and family, and they, all different reasons. I know that my story going to Stets, it's a heck of a story. I mean, because I'm coming from Montego Bay, I never thought that I would have ended up. I wanted to go back home. I didn't want to stay there. It was like a punishment.
And I always enjoyed going to Santa Cruz for the trap meet. You had a guy there, Blake. What was Blake's first name? First name? Mr. Run Quarter.
Gregory
Blake. No, Gregory Blake, man. Gregory Blake.
German. Okay.
Yeah, man. That guy was a nightmare, man. When you go to States, I used to when my coach sent me to run the 300 meters, and I'm a high jumper, and I end up in a race with Gregory Blake. He doesn't want to turn back. But not Dennis Blake. Hey, Dennis, glad to see you joining in. Dennis was a little older than us, though, so Dennis is a joker. We have good stories with Dennis, so we can
Yep,
talk about
yep,
Dennis later on.
yep.
But I got involved with Wolmer's in a way that I would say it's only could have been orchestrated by God. I don't see any other way of explaining it. So I have to take you back to when I was 10 years old. This is just before I took common entrance. Now, many people might not know of me, or what many people might not know of me is that I'm somewhat of a nerd, right? When it comes to bookwork, it it's something that kind of just came easy for me, academics, and I wanted to go to the best academic school that I could go to, right? Most of my friends were going to Campion College. And so Campion was my first choice when I was doing common entrance. And Woolmer's was my second choice. And did common entrance January of 1985, sorry. January 1985. But in December of 1984, December 18th, 1984, I was getting ready for Christmas, and I was trying to shave a piece of plaque that my mother got as a gift. It had bark on the outside, and the bark was stripping. So it didn't look very pretty. So my Christmas present for her was that I was going to shave off the bark because underneath it looked smooth. So I was going to just remove the bark completely so that at least it looked uniform. Well, a piece of the bark broke off. A piece of the bark broke off and burst my eyeball. So I ended up damaging my right eye, requiring surgery on Christmas Eve. I did surgery. I could not study all of Christmas because I was in the hospital. When I got out of the hospital, I went back to school in January, and I moved from being in the top of the class in grade 5. Well, not just top of the class, but I topped the school in grade 5. To now grade 6, getting ready for common entrance, and my entire academic performance dropped way, way low. And it took me just those weeks of working really hard to try to get it back up there, but I still didn't get it high enough. So I could not qualify for Campion College because my grades were not high enough. But thank God I was able to pass common entrance still, and I was able to pass my second choice, which was Woolmer's. So I keep telling persons that had it not been for that eye accident, which to this day I'm still legally blind in my right eye.
Mm.
Yeah, interesting story. I'll tell you another piece of that story to the end. But I'm still legally blind in my right eye, which is interesting because all of the events that I did required depth perception, which you lose when you're using vision from one eye. But I went to Wolmer's. Because I went to Wolmer's, I was able to work under Stephen Francis, got to do the high jump, be a part of an excellent program, qualifying not only for champs, but getting a scholarship to the University of Michigan to run. I had an injury, a groin injury, that stopped me from jumping, which was very devastating to me because I love jumping. And the only other event that I could do, because I wasn't fast enough to run a flat event, was to run the other hurdle event, which was the 4 hurdles, which I started in